despite all the shifts and changes that require our attention, and shifts and changes in just about everything we do, there's some very pleasant discoveries, for me anyway, that it's so nice to have not the same rushed schedule, or schedule that allows plenty of time for contemplation, for practice, and for being in nature. Spending time just quiet. There's still a lot to figure out if you watch the news, and I really suggest limiting the intake, your consumption of news, to the earlier part of the day, and certainly not after dinner. But there's also the time to digest, make sense if possible. The practices of yoga have include something called svadhyaya, which is self-inquiry. And having the time and space to engage in the practice of self-inquiry can be very, very beneficial. In the same way, in a Hatha Yoga class, we can make minor adjustments, and by doing so, create a much better ease or space or range in the body. Similar minor adjustments in the heart or in the mind can create vast new areas of endeavor, open up new opportunities and alternatives. Finding a good seat takes a little self-awareness, one where the breath can be deep and you have a little bit of an inward curve in the low back, the heart gently lifted and buoyant. Observing the breath. Encouraging your mind at least to be present and just observe without judgment. And bring the palms together in front of your heart. And we'll begin with our invocations. When we do self-inquiry, you might even eventually choose to inquire about the nature of your spirit. That underlying aspect of our being that is the primary aspect. The part of us that is always there and present and the same, even when everything changes. The height of our bodies, the colors of our hair, or the shape of our bodies. shape of our minds and our hearts, there's still something that remains, that is always present. The invocations describe some of the qualities of that aspect that is always present. Exhale completely. Inhale fully. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchitananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchitananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchitananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. You release the hands and float the eyes open. I just want to check, does everybody have blocks and a blanket today?
Yeah.
Anybody not have the stuff?
One block.
You're unmuted, so I can hear you.
I have one block.
You have one block? Okay. Do you have a blanket too?
Yep.
Great, that should suffice. And you're pretty open anyway, Takara. Good, okay, let's come up to standing. Plant your feet well. You can start with the feet wide, maybe. Eventually, as you get more and more advanced, you can have the feet closer together. But even with the balls of the feet touching, my heels are a little bit separate, so that the feet remain parallel. But root down through the heels. Take the inner thighs back to move the thigh bones towards the hamstrings and the sitting bones wide. Then draw the tailbone gently down, keeping the sitting bones wide and the thigh bones moving back. Again, root down through the inner heels or the heels and Start to breathe to help lift your heart. So your heart starts to, the space of your upper chest starts to float a little bit up like a helium balloon rising. When you exhale, you can roll the shoulders back and snuggle the shoulder blades down your back. Turn the palms open, roll the shoulders open, turn the palms open a little more. Breathe, inhale, shrug the shoulders a little bit and roll the shoulders a little more back. Then inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, but keep the shoulder blades engaged on your back. Excellent. Exhale, press down through heavy air. Inhale, engaging, turning the palms up, the pinkies up, as you sweep the arms up overhead. And all the way back down. Inhale, this time look up and rooting down through the heels, you can lift your heart. Just keep the arms up. Exhale all the way down into the feet again. Inhale all the way up. So from the rooted heels, lift your heart. And use the breath to help. When you exhale, you can take the armpits back and the shoulder blades a little more on the back. Inhale all the way up, letting the heart float a little higher. Arms a little more back. Inhale, let the heart float a little higher, the whole upper chest. Exhale, the arms a little more back. Excellent. Turn the palms out and float the arms all the way down. Beautiful. Inhale, float up, get a little taller. Find a little back bend. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Touch the ground. Inhale, look into a back bend. Exhale, fold, deep forward bend. Inhale. Exhale. Waking your body, spreading the toes. Inhale. Sweeping the inner thighs back. All these subtle changes help to create more space. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Press down through the feet, come all the way up. And as you come up, see if you can let your heart float a little higher to find a little bit of a back bend. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, fold, touch the ground. Inhale, look. And fold. Step the right foot back. Nice long lunge. Lifting the inner right thigh. Pressing the left foot into the ground. And if you're on your fingertips, you can soften the upper back. Stretch out through the inner right heel, and then the outer right heel, and then the inner right heel, and the outer right heel. And as that back leg is nice and strong, let your heart drift a little forward. Use the breath so your chest floats a little forward. Good. Downward dog. Go ahead and step and adjust yourself into this first downward dog of the day. Spreading the toes, moving the top of the thigh bones right up by the hips, back into the hamstrings without locking your knees. When you stretch one leg and then the other, trying to get the top of the thigh bone to move more back. And then steadying both legs, breathe. Breathe all the way up to your heart, from your belly all the way up, through the kidneys all the way up to your heart. Exhale all the way back down. Good, right foot forward. Nice long lunge, lifting the left thigh, pressing the right foot, lifting the left thigh bone up into those hamstrings. Stretching back through the inner left heel, and then the outer left heel, and then the inner left heel, the outer left heel. And as you keep doing that, you might feel the quadriceps elongate. You might be able to lift the thigh bone a little more up into the hamstrings. And then again, perhaps let the heart drift a little forward. You know the way when you let go of a helium balloon, it starts to just move. Let your heart imagine it had the freedom to drift forward. Especially when you breathe into it. Good, downward dog. Come forward into plank. In plank, your shoulders should be slightly forward of the wrists. Slightly forward of the wrist. So then when you come down, knees to the ground, chest and chin right in between the palms, you're in a back bend. Breathe into your back. See if you can soften the upper back. And then slide forward, hips to the ground, finding a gentle cobra. And downward dog. Right foot forward. Left foot forward. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Press down through the feet, come all the way up. As you root through the heels, see if you can let your heart drift a little upwards, using the breath to find a little bit of a back bend. Even in the back bend, the thigh bones still move back into the hamstrings, and then the tailbone can drop down. Lift your heart. And release the hands. Float them down by your side. Good. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, fold all the way forward, touch the ground. Inhale, look. And fold. Step the left foot back. Be thoughtful, svadhyaya, observing, noticing what happens, what are the responses as you shift and change your engagement. Maybe the way you use the breath or the intent translates out into an action in your body. Good, plank pose. The hands strong. You can draw energy from the hands up the arms, and with the arms extra strong, you can lower your chest down between the shoulders, and then either knees, chest, and chin, or perhaps straight to the ground. Cobra. And downward dog. Right foot forward. Left foot forward. Inhale. Exhale. Press down through the feet. Come all the way up. And release. You know, if you had a helium balloon and you had it tied to a stone, for instance, and you could then leave that stone on the table, but the helium balloon would always be trying to get a little further, do its utmost to get further away from the stone. In a similar way, if we keep the thighs back and draw the tailbone down, but imagine your heart as the helium balloon, it helps to lengthen the spine. So breathe into the space of your heart. Let it become buoyant, really very much like a helium balloon. In the front of the chest, but also behind the heart. So there's being tethered to the earth through the legs and the tailbone, but this possibility of drifting upwards into the heavens by the breath and the heart. And turn the palms open, inhale. Stay rooted, but let your heart float up. The arms go up overhead. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, longer. Exhale, fold. Step the right foot back. Left foot back into plank pose. In plank pose, from the hips, can you stretch back to the heels? And then from the hips forward, can you imagine your heart drifting a little forward? And then because the heart drifts a little forward, can the crown of the head drift a little forward? And maybe straight to the ground. If you want to do knees, chest, and chin, please feel free to do so. Inhale forward, still tethered from the hips to the toes, but the spine can get long like the string of the helium balloon. And then inhale, lift your heart. And then maybe find a little bit more of a back bend. Inhale, lift your heart. Downward dog. Right foot forward, left knee to the ground. Bring both hands onto the right knee. Excuse me. Pulling the heel back and the knee forward. You can really plant that left knee. Pull it forward and press it into the ground, which will help to take the left thigh bone more back as you deepen the lunge. The knee resisting and pulling forward will help to encourage the left thigh bone more back. And then when you press the right foot into the floor and pull that back to draw the thigh bone into the hip socket, that might allow the right thigh bone to drop back into those hamstrings and getting you deeper still into the pose with the legs. You can still play with that, drawing in and expanding, drawing in and expanding, and then imagine lifting your heart, letting your heart float up like a helium balloon, not just alone in the chest certainly, but also in the back of the heart. And then sweep the arms up overhead. Don't worry about a back bend here. You're already in one. See about lifting your heart, letting it float upwards. And touch the ground, step back, downward dog. And left foot forward, right knee to the ground. Same pose, second side. Becoming aware, pressing the right knee, isometrically pulling it forward. As the knee comes forward, that the top of the right thigh bone can move more back. And when you press the left heel into the ground and pull it back, the left thigh bone can drop. So the thigh bone's moving into the hamstrings, into the backs of the legs. And you can tuck the tailbone a little bit down and under. And let your heart start to float, become a little buoyant. And as it becomes a little buoyant, maybe you can find a little bit of a back bend in the upper back. And turn the palms open, sweep the arms up overhead. Not really worrying about a back bend, but let your heart float up, especially on the inhale. And downward dog. Right foot forward. Left knee to the ground, reaching back with the right hand for the left foot. You can do the same action in the legs, pressing the left knee down and pulling the heel, the right heel back towards the left knee, and then deepening the lunge. And as you go deeper, the top of the left thigh bone can lift back into the hamstrings. The top of the right thigh bone can drop into those hamstrings, tuck the tailbone, and then drift up to your heart. Find, if you can, turning your heart a little open, breathing behind your heart into a tiny, very soft back bend. It's soft because you're still breathing behind your heart. And downward dog. Nice. And left foot forward, right knee to the ground. Reaching back with the left hand for the right foot. And pull the left heel back and press the right knee down to pull it forward, encouraging the thigh bones to move, each one to move more into their respective hamstrings. That will allow you to go a little deeper. Then anchor the tailbone. See if you can get that puppet, the balloon string to get a little longer. Eventually lifting your heart, again, not just in the front, but behind the heart too. And downward dog. Good. Bend the knees to the ground. Grab your blocks. And many of you have seen this, done this in class. The first block will be flat. The second block will be a little bit up on its end. And I know, Tyra, you only have one. Yep. Can you all see my blocks?
Yep.
One's flat. So it would lie across my upper back, behind the shoulder blades like that. And then the other one, oops, would be a kind of a pillow. Tyra, you can use your blanket as a pillow.
Oh, or under me. No?
Yeah. Yes, it could be under you. Fold it nicely so it's behind your heart.
I'm using the block under my heart.
Oh, good. And where's your, and I just don't want your head to drop too far back.
Okay.
So your head might rest on the blanket. So that you can still breathe into the space behind your heart. And as you're lying back, stretch the legs out long, straight towards the bottom of your mat. Stretch through the inner heels of each leg. Susan, turn the toes straight up. So when you stretch through the inner heels of the left and the right, you feel that it might encourage the thigh bones to move back into the hamstrings. The inner heels and then the outer heels and the inner heels and the outer heels. Getting the thigh bones to move more into the hamstrings, more towards the mat. Keep that. Breathe up into your chest. With the breath, maybe you can imagine that your heart could drift a little forward towards the crown of your head. And then if the heart can drift a little upwards towards your head, maybe your head can drift a little longer. The neck can get a little longer. And I know it's easy to breathe up the front of your body, but can you also breathe up the back to let the back get a little longer? You may need to adjust your shoulder blades on the block to accommodate the extra length you might discover. Keep breathing right back into that block that's behind your heart. So the breath seems to press the ribs and the vertebra in between your shoulder blades a little more firmly into the block. Stretch out through the legs, root the thigh bones down. Gently elongate the tailbone towards the backs of the heels. You'll feel your abdomen get a little more hollow. And then see if you can get that balloon string to get a little longer. Excellent. Lift. Bend the legs. Roll off the blocks as though they were going to come with you. Roll right off to the side. Come up. Move the blocks out of the way. And downward dog. Bend the right knee to the ground. Keep the left leg steady, straight, and turn that foot to the floor. And bring your left hand to your hip, turning your heart a little open. Before we do anything, just breathe. Let your tailbone stretch towards the left heel. Let the balloon string drift your heart forward towards the crown of your head, breathing into that space behind your heart. Then turn your heart a little open to the left. See if you can still breathe into that space where the block just was behind your heart, to help you find a little bit of a back bend without compressing the back, but by breathing into it, letting the heart being buoyant. And then you can sweep the left arm straight up into the air. Head back a little bit. Let the balloon drift towards your head, even as the string stretches towards the left heel. Excellent. Downward dog. In downward dog, you can get the tailbone to stretch long so that even here you can get the balloon of your heart, the helium balloon, lifting away from the pelvis, so lengthening towards the crown of your head, and even the crown of your head towards your thumbs. Good. Bend the left knee to the ground. Keep the right leg straight. Turn that foot to the floor. Just find that inner alignment as though you would stand on the right leg. Moving the thigh bone back. Tuck the tailbone. Breathe up the spine. Turning your heart a little open to the right. When you're ready, you can sweep the right hand up into the air. And if you can let your upper back soften, maybe you can find a little bit of a back bend. Taking your head back a little bit in space as though someone were gently pulling your ponytail. That'll help lift your heart, but also breathe into the back. Good. Downward dog. Turn onto the little toe edge of the right foot. Step the left foot forward. The left hand onto your hip. So it's another form of Vashisthasana. That looks good. Grip the ground with your right hand. Snuggle the right shoulder blade onto your back, but breathe into that space behind your heart. As long as you can keep breathing there, sweep the left hand into the air. Let your head drift back. Only add these pieces as long as you're still breathing into that space behind the heart. And downward dog. Turn onto the little toe edge of the left foot. Stepping the right foot a bit forward. Now you have to be stronger with the left hand. You get the left shoulder blade curling onto the back. Elongating the balloon string, elongating the spine with the breath. When you're ready, you can take the right hand up into the air. If you find a back bend, it's because the upper back gets softer with the breath. And downward dog. Good, bend the knees to the ground. Come around to sitting. The legs bent, hands on the floor behind you. Grip the ground with your hands and roll the shoulders back. As you roll the shoulders back, yes, lift your chest with the breath, but also see if you can lift the whole balloon up. Inhale. And then getting the shoulder, gripping the ground with your hands, you might feel the shoulder blades get steadier on the back. Now we're gonna lift the hips off the ground. I'm gonna ask you to put the left hand onto the right knee. Roll the right shoulder back. Turn to look to the right over your right shoulder. Breathe, lift the balloon, lift the whole balloon, front balloon, back balloon. And then rise up, lifting the hips into the air. Pause. Breathe into the back, up the back. Maybe you can snuggle the right shoulder blade more onto your back. If you can still breathe behind your heart, then you can take the left arm overhead. Maybe you can snuggle that right shoulder blade deeper onto your back. Breathe behind your heart. That's where the back bend comes from. Excellent. And come back down if you're not down already. I'm just going to check in. Everybody doing okay? I'm hearing some birds, so I must not have muted anything this whole time. You okay?
A lot of
Feel
birds.
free.
Hey,
A lot of birds here.
Good. If you have any questions, just ask. You can stop. If I do mute you, you can unmute yourself. Feel free. Second side. Bring the left hand on the floor behind you. Right hand onto the left knee. Roll the left shoulder way back. And before you come up though, get the balloon tether long. Let the heart float up, not only in the front, but in the back. Be very steady with the left hand, already bringing the left shoulder blade deep onto your back. And then lift the hips. Pause. Do your best to breathe up to the heart. And if you can, then snuggling the left shoulder blade deeper onto your back. Maybe you can sweep the right hand up in the air or overhead. Let your head fall back, but keep breathing into the space behind your heart. Excellent. And back down. Very nice. First side, second time. And if you want to get a little deeper back bend this time, before you go up, if you want to get a little deeper back bend, once you're up and you get this shoulder blade deep onto the back, if you bend the knees that way, then your head and heart can fall back more this way. So you get more of an opening in the upper back by bending the knees that way. Okay. Right hand on the floor behind you. Left hand onto your knee. Turn your chest. Breathe up the spine. When you're ready, lift the hips. And roll the right shoulder blade deeper onto your back. Breathe, take the time, soften in the upper back. Then sweep the left arm way overhead if you wish. Maybe bend the knees in the direction of the knees. Your head might be able to go a little further back. And all the way down. Everybody's shoulders okay? Excellent. Second side, left hand behind you. Turn your chest to look way behind you. Breathe up and down the spine so that space of your heart is full and lively and vibrant and pulsing. Often when we do this, we just tighten, lift the hips, grip the ground with the left hand, roll the left shoulder even more onto your back if possible. Then sweep the right arm overhead. If you bend the knees away from you, you might be able to find a back bend, but keep breathing into the upper back. And all the way down. Very nice. You okay, Barbara? Shoulders are a little, everybody's shoulders are a little something. Okay, good. Downward dog. Step the right foot forward. Left foot forward. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Root down through the feet, come all the way up as you sweep the arms up. Find a back bend by lifting the back of your heart. Thighs back, tailbone down. Lift long the string of the balloon, which is your spine. And release. Good. Bouncing on your left foot, bring the right foot into tree pose. You can even use your right foot, if it's on the inner thigh, to sweep the inner right thigh muscles back to help encourage the left thigh bone to move more into the hamstrings. Then draw the tailbone down and let your heart float up off the hips. Then go ahead and extend the arms up overhead. Draw the tailbone down. Breathe into the space behind your heart to find that balloon floating up. You might even be able to arc a little bit back. Take your gaze up towards the sky, but feel the softness in the upper back. And come up. Release the hands and step down. Very good. Same pose, second side. Placing the left foot on the upper inner right thigh. Using the left foot to sweep the inner thigh muscle back and the thigh bone back. And then draw the tailbone down towards the back of the right heel, feeling the tummy tone. So at the hips, you stay anchored from here down. but the balloon of your heart can float upwards using the breath. Finding maybe even already a little bit of a back bend in the way upper back. Then sweep the arms up overhead. Rooting down through the right heel. Lifting the balloon up your back, up to your heart. Find a little bit of a back bend in the tree pose. And release. Step the left foot down. Very nice. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale and fold. Step the right foot back and bring both hands onto the left knee. If you pull the feet towards each other, you can square the hips and then lift the right thigh and let the left thigh descend. Then bring the palms together in front of your chest. Twisting a little to the left, put the right elbow on the left knee. Now let the back leg, the right leg, be part of that tether, rooting back through the inner right heel. Tuck the tailbone a little bit before you twist. Breathe up into your heart. And then find the twist. Keep letting the balloon of your heart drift away from the hips. Every time you inhale, when you exhale, perhaps you can twist a little deeper. Good. Downward dog. Left foot forward. Is that right? No, right foot forward, sorry. Stretching out back through the left leg. Pulling the feet a little towards each other to square the hips. Then you can lift the left thigh bone into those hamstrings. The right thigh bone dropping into those. Palms together. Bring the left elbow onto the right knee. Before you twist, let the back of your heart float out of the hips. And then twist on the exhale. And downward dog. First side, second time. Left foot forward. Palms on the left knee. Preparing yourself for the twist in just the same way. When you're ready, you can start to go in. Back leg nice and steady. Tucking the tailbone a little towards that back right heel. So you can encourage the spine, the balloon string to get a little longer. When you exhale, it's the time to move deeper into the twist. and unwind. Very nice, everybody. Downward dog. If you'd like to do a connecting vinyasa, feel free. When you're ready, step the left foot forward. I'm sorry, right foot forward. I did it again. Right foot forward. Long lunge. Squaring the hips by pulling the feet towards each other, getting the thigh bones to move towards their respective hamstrings. Palms together, twisting to the right. Breathe in, up and down your back. Perhaps you can get a little deeper. And downward dog, very nice. And bend the knees to the ground, child's pose. If you let your tailbone drop back towards the heels, or Louisa, if you want to put a blanket behind your knees or something so that you can sit down without bothering your knees, then your spine will have a chance to lengthen. With your belly slightly compressed against the thighs, you can breathe more beautifully into your back, and not just the low back and the middle, but all the way up. So that your heart can start to drift a little forward. Even as your tailbone drops a little further back. Good. Come up and over to sitting. Straighten the right leg and bend the left. And then reach inside the left knee with the left hand to grab the right foot. Press the left foot into the floor to try and get the left groin to drop, and maybe even get the left sitting bone back on the ground. Breathe up and down your back. You can grab maybe you can grab the right foot with both hands. The part about folding forward is that it comes from the freedom in the back. So tone your tummy. The tailbone stay grounded as you inhale all the way up your back to the back of your heart. When you exhale, maybe you can fold a little forward. Trying to keep both sitting bones grounded. The tailbone grounded. Breathe up your back. You might find when you exhale that you can fold a little further forward. And release. Straighten the left leg and bend the right. I forgot to mention that the foot, instead of being right next to the thigh, can be about a hand width away. So the width of your palm in between your foot and your thigh. Reach forward with the right hand for the left foot. Now the left thigh bone can drop into those hamstrings. And maybe the right thigh bone can move towards those hamstrings. Breathe into your back. And grab the left foot with both hands. Don't even try to pull yourself forward. But because you breathe up and down the spine, you might find that you can easily, more naturally fold forward. Try and breathe all the way from the tailbone up the spine, up to the back of your heart. Even to the crown of your head. When you exhale, perhaps you can fold a little further forward. And come back up. Straighten the right leg. Bend the left. This time turn a little sideways in the pelvis, opening the left knee out to the side and even back, so that you widen the angle between your thighs. And again, seated on both sitting bones. We're going to twist and reach forward with the left hand for the right foot. If you want to use a strap for this, Francisca, I know you're concerned about your low back. Empty. What does that mean? Let me undo you. I've unmuted you. What's up?
No, I don't have a strap.
You don't have a strap.
I'm outside.
Just reach
I'm not
forward
running,
and
so
grab as far down your leg as you can.
I'll manage. Don't worry. Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Let the tailbone stay grounded. And if you can, even emptying your low abdomen, getting everything in the pelvic bowl, deep down where all the bottom of your intestines are, the sex organs are deep down in the pelvic bowl. Let them move back to the inside back of the sacrum, inside back of the pelvic bowl. You can lean way over onto your left sitting bone and draw the right sitting bone a little wider, and then tack that back down. As the tailbone is grounded, let your heart drift forward towards the top of your right foot. The crown of your head can even drift forward. Kind of lifting your tummy a little bit away from the right thigh. And come back up. Change legs. I think I just heard a cat purr or something. I'm going to mute you back up, Francisca, even though the sweet sound of the birds is very pleasant. Share that with my indoor space. Thank you. Changing legs, reaching out, widening the angle between your right thigh and your left, reaching across with your right hand to grab the left foot. Let your tailbone get nicely anchored. Breathe up and down the back. You could probably pull yourself forward, but you don't need to. Use your breath. Empty the tummy, draw your belly button and below your belly button back into the body. You can lean way over onto the right sitting bone and draw the left sitting bone wide and tack that back down. Let the crown of your head drift out towards the top of the left foot by breathing into the helium balloon of your heart. Front and back. Good, and come up. Lift the right knee. Straighten the right leg. Take both legs wide. Upavishta Konasana. Turn the toes straight up and then inner spiral each leg. With your hands on the head of the femur, you can press down with both hands as you fold forward, so the thigh bones stay grounded. Keeping the thigh bones grounded, breathe up and down your back. Maybe you can reach out to grab your ankles if you want, but it's important to use your thigh muscles to keep rooting the thigh bones down into the earth, down into the hamstring. Compress the inner heels and the outer heels and the inner heels, the outer heels. Maybe that will help to move the thigh bones more into the hamstrings. And then empty the abdomen again so that you can anchor your tailbone down. With the tailbone anchored, you might be able to drift the heart a little forward. And back up. Very nice. Use your hands to bring the legs together. Good. Roll out onto your backs. The legs strong, bend the legs. This time in the back bend, the feet underneath your knees. Barbara, you can bend the legs. That's it. Feet right underneath your knees, feet parallel to one another. When you lift the hips, now it will be the tailbone reaching away from the heart. Go ahead and lift the hips. Breathe. When you exhale, stretch your tailbone towards the backs of the knees, and then stretch the knees away. You can clasp your hands together behind your back. Tuck the shoulders underneath, lift your heart. Inhale into the space of your heart. When you exhale, exhale down the spine, towards the tailbone, towards the knees, and then press the feet straight down, and you might be able to rise up a little bit more. Pulling the feet a little towards your shoulder blades. And then on the next exhale, lower back down. Good. Stretch the arms overhead. Stretch the legs out along the ground. Excuse me. Stretch through the inner heels of both legs. And then the outer heels of both legs. And if you press the heels into the ground, maybe you can encourage the thigh bones to move towards the floor. Then tuck the tailbone towards the backs of the heels. Then reach up through the hands. Breathing up your back. It's hard when the arms are overhead to breathe up your back to your heart, to the back of your heart. Inhale, when you inhale, stretch through the right arm and the right heel. When you exhale, go even longer. And then inhale to the left foot, left arm, stretch long on the left side. Exhale even longer. Inhale again to the right. Right side, right leg, right hand. Exhale even longer, doing your best to still breathe behind your heart. Left side. Keep going, left and right as you're ready. And release. Bend the right leg. Shift your butt 3 to 4 inches to the right. And then bring the right foot onto the left knee to come into the long twist. Tether your balloon all the way down to the inner left heel. And then let the balloon float up towards the crown of your head with the inhale. Exhale, maybe fall into the twist. When I say tether the balloon all the way to the left heel, I mean stretch down through the inseam of the left leg all the way to the inner heel, inner spiraling that left leg. And then tuck the tailbone gently towards that left heel. Continue to breathe up all the way up to the balloon of your heart. Maybe find a little bit of a back bend. Because the upper back is so open, you could. Unwind. Shifting your hips to the left of center. Straighten the right leg. Bend the left if you haven't already. Bring the left foot onto the right knee, rolling that across your body. Reach down to the inner right heel, inner spiraling the right leg. And tuck the tailbone. Follow the balloon tether all the way up to your heart. Letting the balloon drift towards the top of your head and beyond. And slowly unwind. Draw the knees gently up into your chest. Rock a little side to side. Let everything in your abdomen drop back into the back of the low back and the back of the pelvic bowl. And then if there's anything you need to do to set up for Shavasana, go ahead and do that. When you stretch out through the legs, gently stretch, starting with the toes pointing straight up. Inner spiral each leg, moving the head of the thigh bones towards the ground, and maybe drawing the butt and sitting bones up wide across the back. And for just a few breaths, tether your balloon all the way down through the spine to the inner heels. Stretch the tailbone long. Do your best to breathe up and down the spine. Letting the heart continue, if it ever wants to, would drift a little in the direction of your head. Your head extend a little in the direction of the wall above you and beyond. So that even when we're lying down, we can do what we can to encourage space in between the vertebra of the back. Feeling the breath undulate up and down the spine, expanding the space of your heart. Even again, perhaps allowing the crown of your head, the energy inside the heart to drift out through the crown of your head and beyond. In fact, you can allow the helium balloon to just drift out on an exhale, out through the crown of your head. And let it go. Gently awakening your breath. The small movements of the fingers and the toes. When you're ready, you can curl up and over onto your side. And when you're ready, you can float your way up to sitting. When you find a good seat, maybe for just a few breath or two, you can allow the balloon to float your heart a little bit up out of the pelvis. This time when you exhale, let the balloon go as if the rubber of the balloon just disappeared and you could feel the gas just rise up and out through the crown of your head on an exhale. Indeed, the way prana flows, it's more like a river, a stream that ebbs and flows than this balloon being kind of stuck and static. When you inhale, you might imagine the breath entering in through the crown of your head, all the way down to the pelvic bowl, filling you up. And when you exhale, you can exhale out through the crown of your head, right, allowing your body to float up with the direction of that flow. You can stay tall and long even when you begin to inhale again. Bring the palms together in front of your heart. That energy that you may have felt around the heart, rising up and down through the central channel, is prana, subtle energy force, is always ebbing and flowing. When closing, we'll do our 3 ohms. When I should say, when we're healthy and vibrant, it's always ebbing and flowing. Exhale completely. Inhale fully. Om. Namaste. Thank you all so much for finding this on the schedule, joining us.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
You're all unmuted, so you can talk amongst yourselves, talk with the birds, share the sounds of the birds in the backyard.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Barbara. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So, does anybody have any questions about the practice or the tent or Zoom or anything?
So I may have missed this earlier. I don't know if I came late, but so are you doing, and you personally not doing any more Zoom classes?
No, I will. I just don't know when yet. I'm still
Oh.
trying to figure out the schedule. This week I did just happen to be Wednesday morning. I will be doing one, if not two Zoom classes a week.
Okay, great.
But I don't know what days and times yet. So bear with me. And I hope you guys are flexible with your time. That's one of the things.
Wide open, surprisingly.
Excellent, 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 excellent. So I know everybody's used to Saturday mornings, but I have to be at the tent for that class. And I have been doing, what are the other days? Tuesday and Friday mornings. I'm going to be.
What class do you do Friday morning?
Sorry, what?
What kind of class do you do Friday morning?
Well, soon I've been doing a level 2-3, and soon someone else is going to have that class. So I may do a Zoom again on, I don't know.
You don't know yet. Okay.
I don't know, but I know that what I used to do on Friday morning, I'm going to do on Friday evening. I'm going to do a level 2-3 at the tent on Friday evenings. And I just have to see who's available when. Everybody's schedules are so different than last year too. Whether they're even out here this year, or whether they've already committed to, and who knew that we could open up.
Mhm.
But we're the only ones so far that have opened up, so we'll see. Anyway,
Okay.
keep looking at the schedule.
Okay.
Thank you.
Make informed choices.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, bye.